that the outcome is clear. We'll stick through these next 30, 40 minutes. You'll learn how I double my income twice without doubling my hours. A lot of times, me, a lot of times we talk about increasing our income, but that just means more hours, right? That just means more work. That means more effort. It means less sleep. So when I talk about raising revenue, when I talk about increasing your revenue, the goal is to either keep your time the same or even better is less. So I'm going to share my slides and we're going to learn together. Let me get this window going. Ah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Increase your revenue the easy way. I should change that to simple because it's not easy. It's going to take a little work, but it is very simple. It is very simple. Thank you. You can build the slides with me. And I love doing it because I never want you to think, hey, I'm perfect or I've got this. I'm getting pretty good, but I made some bumps and bruises on the way. So the hope is that you can learn from my mistakes and benefit from my success. Hopefully, you'll get there a little bit faster than I did. So let's jump right in. Here's the summary. If you have to go, if you have to jump off, if you get disconnected, increase your income, you decrease your time. Yes, those are not necessarily intertwined. We're taught that they are, but it's not the best practice. Specialize and organize. What does that mean? And increase your prices. Actually, if you your battery dies right now, if you're just tired of looking at my face, you don't do anything else to increase your revenue, increase your prices. Okay? Increase your prices. If you're like, oh, Bruce, it's not that simple. Well, then you need to stay on the webinar. That's the summary, though. That's what we're going to go over today. If there's anything else, you can throw a question in the chat, and I still get the alerts, and I'll do my best to answer them, even if I got to reach out to you personally. I want to see you win. So let's go back. Let's go back. I don't know when you're watching this. Doesn't matter. 2015, I was working about 40 hours a week. I mean, I worked for a bank, so that was it. Maybe I got 42, but that was all they would pay. And I made about $30,000 a year. That sounds wild to me. That sounds so wild to me today. I don't know what I would do with 30,000 these days. Probably walk everywhere and eat a lot less. And at that time, the only way I knew how to make more money was to work more hours. Work more hours, more money. And eventually, oh, here we go again. Eventually, you run out. Can I edit this? There it is. Of time and energy. You're gonna run out of time and or energy. Eventually, you just ain't got no more left in the gas tank. You don't have any more hours in the day. You just can't work. Working harder really is not the solution to many problems. It's just not. It's just not. And if you don't believe me, here's a perfect example. Let's say you want to start a bodybuilding competition. All right. You want to register and enroll in a bodybuilding competition. So what do? You go to the gym, you start lifting some weights. You can't just lift heavier weights in one day thinking you're going to get to the competition next week. There's some things that have to happen. There's a process. Some things we can't shortcut, but we can speed up. All right. So here's the example we want to use for our businesses or your job. Let's say you still work 9 to 5. You don't want to be an entrepreneur. That's fine. This is for you too. Where I worked 40 hours a week. I was making 30,000. If I wanted to double my income, I had to double my hours. 80 hours to get to 60,000. 60,000 is not bad. I think most states you'll be okay, except for maybe New York, California. If I wanted to triple my income, I have to triple my hours, right? 120 hours, that's $90,000. 120 hours a week for a year just to get to 90,000. Now, let's say hypothetically you could do that, right? Maybe you're working from home, so there's no commute. Maybe you DoorDash the food so you don't have to cook. Maybe you don't have any kids at home. Maybe there's no pet. Maybe you could do 120 hours for a few weeks or even a few months, but would you really want to? All right, let's say you're ambitious. You want to get over that elusive six-figure mark. So you're going to work 160 hours a week. So you can get 120,000 a year, right? How did I come up with that number? 4 times 40 is 160. 4 times 30,000 is 120,000. So you work 160 hours a week so you can make $120,000 in a year. That sounds pretty awful. Does anyone else think that sounds awful? Just me? Put in the chat. Just put in the chat, yuck. There's a problem with that. Even if you have the physical and mental capacity to work 160 hours in a week, there's one really big problem with that number. And if you're paying close attention, you know there's only 168 hours in any given week. So it's arguably impossible. Please don't test this. It's arguably impossible to work 160 hours a week for more than maybe 1 week. Maybe you get one solid week under your belt. Again, please don't test that. I have one of my clients, she says, self care is part of my business strategy. 160 hours a week, 120 hours a week is really not great self care. 80 hours, maybe, maybe. Like I said, you're single, no kids, no pets, no commute, maybe. But again, why would you want to? Bruce, we're here on this webinar because we want to increase our revenue. That's why it's increase your revenue, not the increase webinar, it's increase your revenue webinar, right? We just want the revenue to go up. We don't want our hours to go up. We don't want our effort to have to go up. We want to be able to enjoy the life we're creating. So that's why this slide is titled addition versus multiplication. Did I spell multiplication right? Somebody spell check that for me. This is addition. We're adding more hours, add more dollars. I'm going to teach you how to multiply, how to increase. It's the only time I actually like math, when it's my money, when it's my revenue. So, in all this brainstorming about how do I make some more money, and all I came up with was more hours, I lost my job. Oh, snap. This is where all great stories start, by the way. I lost my job. I had to ask myself a question. I had to ask myself a question. Do I pivot or persevere? Oh, do I pivot or persevere? Somebody help me spell persevere. Do we spell check this? Do, 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 do. Always correct. There it is. Persevere. Oh, I spelled it correctly. Nice. Pivot or persevere, right? That means do I keep going or do I change direction? And this is an important question. So let's go back to our bodybuilding example. If I go work out for one day, do I need to pivot or persevere? If I work out for 2 days, I'm not seeing any results, I'm not competition ready, do I need to pivot or persevere? If I work out for 2 weeks and I'm not really seeing any results, do I need to pivot or persevere? And so this is one of the questions I challenged with over the years. Am I going the right way and I just need to keep going? Or do I need to change direction? Is the reason I'm not seeing results because I haven't put in enough time and energy or effort? Or am I not seeing results because I'm doing the wrong things? Has anybody else had that question? Has anybody else wondered, like, man, am I doing this right? So I asked for advice. I asked for advice. Now, hold on, let me come off. Let me come off. Can I stop sharing real quick? Do. Stop the share. Can we do that? Yeah. Here we go. Boom. Hey, it's me. When you ask someone advice, I really need you to get this. When you ask someone for advice, they can only give you advice based on their life experiences. It's very difficult, maybe impossible, for anyone to give you advice on something they have not experienced. If they do, that's a little, is it hypocritical or lack of integrity? Well, I think you should because I saw this on TV. That's not really advice. That's speculation. They're guessing. That's not advice. Don't guess with my life. But for the most part, people are going to give you advice based on their experience. So what would have happened is when I called to get this advice, if he had been selling houses, I might be a realtor today. If he had been selling insurance, I might be a broker today. If he had been selling drugs, I could be dead or in jail. Be careful who you ask advice from. Ask yourself, do I want this person's life? Because the advice they give you is going to get you the life that they have. It's going to put you on track for the life that they have. Why? Because that's the only type of advice people can give you is based on their experiences. So fortunately for me, I have good friends that give me good advice, and he was in the car industry. So he said, Bruce, you should go sell cars. Life changing. One new skill will change your life. Excuse me. I'm just laughing. I was terrible. I was terrible. One second. One second. One second. Thank you so much. One new skill will change your life, man, but it did not happen overnight. I was not a natural born salesman. I don't think anyone is, but that's encouraging for you because I got here with a little hard work and practice, and I help other people get there faster. So if you are having struggles with your business and closing new clients, you're in the right place. I'm gonna help you increase your revenue. So check this out. New skill alert. I learned sales. Sales skills are truly for everyone, even if you don't have sales in your title, even if you're not an entrepreneur, excuse me, even if you don't own a business, you need sales skills. I'm actually teaching next week. Um, Shout out to Pivot Technology School out of Nashville. They help folks transition into tech. I'm teaching them interview skills, interview prep and practice. And I'm teaching them skills I learned from selling to help them break into a new career. I'm really excited about that. Actually, it's some of the volunteer work I do because I do try and give back. And I know that if I can help them get this new career, it's going to change their life, right? Hold on, I'll say it again. I got it bold. Maybe I'll underline that too. One new skill will change your life. So it's not just for someone who wants to go sell cars. It's not for someone that wants to start a business. Yes, they can use it. It's for everyone. And I look at sales as a service. It's an opportunity to serve. Because if you solve someone's problem, if you add value to their life, they'll very likely do business with you. So it's not a matter of convincing anyone. It's not a matter of tricking anyone or manipulating them. No, 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 no. We find the opportunity to serve, say, hey, here's how I can help you. Do you want me to help you? Right? That's why I work with service-based businesses. I don't do products. That's why I work with entrepreneurs and service-based businesses where there's a transformation. They're serving their clients, and I teach them how to hear yes more often. I teach them to increase their revenue. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Sales was my first step towards entrepreneurship. Why do I say that? Because I was 100% commission. If I didn't work, I did not get paid. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And so that was really interesting to me because I'm like, great, I get paid for what I'm worth. When I worked at the bank, man, listen, I had the lowest default rates on our loan products. I had the highest customer service scores. I had the lowest errors on my audits. I had the highest revenue for the branch in the region. I think I hit the state at one point. It was great, but I still got paid my little $30,000. So I was really excited. Commission means the harder I work, the more I earn. And so I was about to go crazy. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be rich. But I didn't understand this. I'm going to teach you. It's called the cash flow quadrant. This is trademarked by Robert Kiyosaki. This is not Bruce Hill idea. Don't go around telling people I invented this. Don't get me in trouble. You see, the top left there says the employee. They have a job. They trade their time for dollars. Then the bottom left there is a self-employed. I actually like to call this a specialist, and I have it highlighted there on the left. They trade their time for dollars. I have it highlighted because that's where I was. This is your sales professionals, your accountants, your dentists, CPAs. They're specialists. And that's actually one of the ways we increase is specializing. I was getting more dollars for my time. I was getting more dollars for my time. It's so important. But if you stop working, you stop getting paid. You have to work more to get paid more. So it's still, we're on the left side of this quadrant. We need to be on the right side. The business owner owns a system. It owns a system. That means they own a system, they get paid dollars. System equals dollars. The investor there on the bottom right, the money works for you. If you trading time for money, you trade your money for more money. That's multiplication. Multiplication happens on this right side. Now, something that took me way too long to learn, so I'm going to say out loud, you can be in more than one of these quadrants at once. And in fact, I was an employee and a business owner and an investor. So I didn't understand this right side of this cash flow quadrant. I only understood the left side, and I was trading my time for dollars. And it was working out pretty well. I doubled my hours. Now no one can tell me I only get 40 hours. I got to go home. I double my hours and I double my income. So from 15 to 16, I went from 30,000 to 60,000. Woo! Yeah. But listen, that is not sustainable. I was excited. I really was excited. That was the first time, not the last time, that I made five figures in a month. I loved it. I was like, man, this is great. But we have to separate our value from our labor and our labor from our value. We have to separate our labor from our value because working harder is not the solution to very many problems. Working harder is not a solution to very many problems at all. Here's what we want to do when we talk about some increased dues. I read a book called Think and Grow Rich, and it talks about it, which is crazy. That book was written almost 100 years ago. Actually, literally 100 years ago. May have been published 90, but let's not get carried away. In the book Think and Grow Rich, it talks about specialized knowledge. Remember, we talked about just now in the cash flow quadrant, the specialist, the bottom left corner. It says self-employed specialist. Same thing, depending on which version you look at. Another, and I believe this is chapter 7, is organized planning and organized knowledge. When you take, think about this. This is what we do in digital courses and coaching programs. We take knowledge, we organize it, put in a nice, neat little package, simple steps. It's all where you need in one place. That's organized knowledge. This is a phenomenal way to increase your revenue. Twofold. You can take some organized knowledge, ingest it, and go practice it. That helps you specialize. Or you can take some of your knowledge and experience, package it, organize it, and sell it. Either way, when you increase your skill, you increase your income. Write that down. If you increase your skill, you increase your income. Also, a great book to read if you haven't read it. If you have read it, read it again. Now, there's some. I think I'm missing the slide. All right. Oh, here's the increased don'ts. This was a nice win for me, but don't try to work harder. That's not going to get you very far. I encourage you to specialize. One new skill will change your life. Organize your knowledge and get some increase. So check this out. People will pay you to duplicate your results. That's a very important concept. That's a very important concept. People will pay you to duplicate your results. What does that mean? I went around and I said, hey, if you want a rock star sales professional, I won some awards, right? Driven some results, generated 7 figures in revenue for the company. You want a rock star sales person, hire me. But if you want 5 rockstar salespeople, you should hire me as a sales manager. I was starting to learn to duplicate myself. I was almost there. And so I said that little spiel a few times, and then I got hired as a sales manager. You are the proof. Why did they believe me? Because I could show them. I showed them numbers. I showed them documentation that I was able to do what I said I would do. And so they paid me 60,000 to duplicate myself. But check this out. I only had to work 40 hours. And I got a car stipend. And I got a gas card. And I got a company phone. Look, you guys are helping me out a lot today. Now, if you had a choice to make $60,000 working 80 hours or $60,000 working 40 hours, which would you choose? That's really pretty simple. It's not a trick question. I don't do trick questions. I want to make sure you get it so you can apply it to your life. Even I effectively doubled my income again because I cut the amount of time I was working literally in half. I was working 80 to 90 hours some days or some weeks to make that 60,000. And I want to be 100 with you. I barely made 60,000. But now I'm guaranteed 60,000 salary for just 40 hours. Mm, 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 mm. That's what happens when you specialize. My income's going up and my hours are going down. That's a great way to be. I'm helping others get results. I'm duplicating myself. You can get paid more. You can increase if you help other people duplicate your results. So let's recap this real quick. What did I do? I learned a new skill. I learned how to sell. Then I mastered that skill. And I didn't dive too far into that, but it took some work. I'm not a natural salesperson. I had to practice. I got a mentor. Um, I did trainings. I read books. I went to conferences, but I mastered that skill and I earned more. Then I started teaching that skill. That's organized knowledge. And I earned more and I worked less. So if you're watching this live or even if you are catching this replay, mark increase, write increase on your paper, type it into the chat, tweet it. Increase is possible for you. Now, let's say, Bruce, I don't want to learn a new skill. I don't want to master a skill. I don't have time, energy, or money. I don't know, whatever excuse you come up with. And I don't really want to teach anyone else. Well, there's three ways you can still increase. Something for everyone. You can increase your prices. Well, Bruce, I don't have a company. I don't have a business. I'm not an entrepreneur. You can ask for a raise. Ask for a raise. Ask, and if they won't give you a raise, we'll find a company that will. A lot of times, you can make 20 to 40% of increase for the same job just by moving to different companies. Increase your prices. Now, this one's for my business owners and entrepreneurs. Increase your customers. Increase your customers. Let's put this like this. Increase the number of customers. The more people pay you increases your revenue. That's not math. I told you. I keep it simple. And so that may we talk about this in my Ask You Better Questions section of my program. You increase the number of customers. You don't do anything else different, but you have more people that tell you yes, you're going to make more money. Or you say, you know what, Bruce, I don't really want to find any new customers. Well, then increase the repeat customers. Figure out how those same people who've already paid you can work with you again. That's going to increase your revenue. Increase repeat customers, increase your revenue. Is this simple? Does this seem simple to you? It is, but I didn't get it for years. I was working 80 hours, 90 hours when I could have just increased my prices, when I could have just increased the number of customers, when I could have increased my repeat customers. Something else we teach in the new skills program. I'll talk about that in a second. But Bruce, you can't just raise your prices. We're going to talk about value versus cost. Because I always get a lot of pushback. I'm like, increase your prices. Well, Bruce, no one's going to pay that much. Somebody will pay that much. Because you understand that cost is what someone pays and value is what someone gets. What does that mean? If you're hungry, you go get some food. What are we feeling like? let's say it's Wednesday, it's Wing Wednesday. You go order 10 wings, right? Hot lemon pepper wet. Mm-mm-mm. Maybe some fries and a drink. That costs you, shoot, these days probably cost you 20 bucks. It costs you, let's say, $20. You leave it 10. That's what it costs you. What's the value? Well, now you're not hungry anymore. Now you got some sustenance. You're not going to starve. You feel better. You're happy. Your taste buds are happy, right? Licking your lips. It tastes delicious. Maybe you're hanging out with friends. That's the value. That's what you get. And it's just an oversimplification, but effectively, you've paid $20 to stay alive a little longer. That's dramatic. It is. But that's the value. Food's important, right? You can't just not eat that. Let me know how long that lasts. So when I talk about increasing prices, I get a lot of pushback, but you have to say, listen, we're never going to lower our prices. We're going to increase our value. We're going to make it make sense for them to pay that additional cost because the value, what they get, is higher. The value should always be greater than the cost. Hmm. Let's do. Oh, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's run it backwards or forwards, depending on which way you look at it. The value should always be greater than the cost. Okay? The cost is the bottom line. That's the cost of goods or services. That's the cost of your time, right? What you need to break even. The market is what everybody else is charging for it, what everyone else, and keep in mind, not what people are paying for it, but people are charging. That's the market. The value should be greater than both of those. Really great lesson. I got to find this quote. He said, there's no benefit for being the second lowest, but there's a huge competitive advantage for being the most expensive. If you want to raise your prices, you got to increase your value. How do you do that? You specialize and you organize. We're not just going to make up numbers. You can. You can charge whatever you want for your services. There is someone that would pay. However, the cost of finding that person and the time it would take to find that person increases. Oh, there's that word again. As your price increases. So you have to find a number that allows you to balance how easy it is to find the person and how much they'll pay. What do I mean? You could charge $1 million to teach someone your grandma's German chocolate sheet cake recipe. Someone will pay $1 million. Maybe there's a Sikh somewhere, their kid's 18th birthday, 16th birthday, they'll pay it. Well, let's say it takes you 5, 6 years and $200,000 in advertising to find that $1 million customer. On paper, that's absolutely worth it. $1 million customer, only 200,000 to find them. Well, I don't know about you. I don't have an extra $200,000. I don't have an extra 5 to 6 years to find that $1 million client. So when we talk about pricing, this is a whole, and we dedicate a whole module to this in the New Skills program. We talk about pricing, we're not just going to mix numbers up. They've got to match the value, and they've got to match our ability to find people that will pay that cost. All right. Okay, great. We won't talk into that. That's why we have the program for to make sure we help you increase your revenue. So, Bruce, why would someone pay me to teach them how to bake a chocolate cake? They could just Google it. People are going to pay for direct access. Yes, you can look up cake recipes on YouTube, maybe on Pinterest. Direct access at one a group, they can ask questions. They can ask questions. That's direct access. They're not paying for the recipe at this point, they're paying for you. There's accountability. Hey, these are steps you need to take. A week from now, I'm going to ask you, did you take those steps? That's accountability. Think about the trainer. Shout out to all my personal trainers there because there's definitely a lot of knowledge, education that goes into lifting, into exercising. But most people need that accountability. If I pay you this money, I got to show up. If I'm supposed to do 10 reps, I'm not going to do 8.5. That's accountability. People will pay for accountability. You can increase your revenue by offering people that direct access, that accountability. Then there's feedback. Hey, Listen, you gotta have the liquids mix those first, and the dries mix those separately. Okay, that's feedback. Or maybe you don't know if there's an altitude change that your temperature, your cooking temperature changes. You might have never thought to Google that. That's where that feedback comes in. So ask yourself this question: why would someone pay you? Ask yourself that question: why would someone pay me? And have a list of reasons of value adds that make sense for you. Because if it doesn't make sense to you, it's not going to make sense to your client. If you're struggling with self doubt and you're struggling with imposter syndrome, oh man, that's a sneaky one. There's a module in the New Skills program for that too. We spend a whole week on confidence because I know it's going to be tough for you to increase your prices if you're not seeing your own value. We got to have an answer to that question. Why would someone pay you before we can start experiencing that increase? All right, let's rock and roll. Learn a new skill, master a skill, teach a skill, and increase your value. Increase, increase, increase. That's what I want for you this year, the next decade, so that we can spend more time serving. Remember, sales is a service. Serving the clients we care so much about, and less time convincing them to become clients, and less time working. Less time, more revenue. Less time, more revenue. That's the formula I want for you. That's it. That's the lesson. If you take just one of those, learn a new skill, master a skill, teach it, right? Specialize and organize. Increase your value. If you just do one of those, you're going to increase your revenue. Your life will change forever. It's much more enjoyable for me. Now I work less and make more. I can enjoy life. I spend time with people I care about. And that's what I want for you. So here's what we're going to do. If you say, you know what, Bruce, I want to increase my revenue, especially this is for my service-based businesses. Right now, I'm not working with career-minded individuals. Cheers to your success, but that's not a place where I can add value. If you have a service-based business, let's say you've been there less than 5 years, all right, and you're not quite making 5 figures a month, you want some help increasing your revenue. I want to introduce you to the New Skills Sales Program. Okay, the New Sales Skill Program. We'll say that 5 times fast. Is designed to help you hear yes more often without sounding salesy. Spend less time convincing people, more time serving the clients you care so much about. And so we do that real simply. We have a module on confidence. We have a module on listening. Introverts love this one because they already do this naturally. They have a lot of success in this program. We have a module on asking better questions. We have a module on closing the sale with confidence. We have a module on what to do when they say no. We have a module on interested in invoices, 5 steps gets your client from interested in invoice. That's important, especially for if you get into a higher ticket programs. How do we make sure we're getting the right clients to say yes and avoiding those headaches? And then we have raising your prices properly. Raise your prices properly. You're not just going to make up numbers. It got to make sense for your business, for your target audience. But it's probably a lot higher than you think. So if you're having trouble with any or all of those, I want you to tap in, hop on my calendar. It's brucehill.online. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. It's brucehill.online. Schedule a call. It'll take 10, 15 minutes to understand what your business is or what your goals are. And if I can help you get there, I'm absolutely going to ask you to get started. If I can't, I'm going to recommend a good friend of mine. I've got some great friends. I'm sure we'll find someone to help you raise your revenue. But if you're a service-based business, I encourage you, hit the button that says schedule. Oh, there you go. Now you can see it. Hit the button that says schedule. If you're catching the replay, if you're on YouTube, it's brucehill.online, do a 15-minute discovery call. And we'll talk. And right now, listen. Well, it depends on when you catch the replay. Right now, I take all those calls myself. I haven't hired out a sales team yet. I really like to stay hands-on. But as I scale, I have to. So right now, it'll be you and I talk one-on-one, live, no pre-recordings. And I want to make sure that we help you get to your goals. We help you increase your revenue, raise your revenue in your business. That's what we're here for. So again, I'm Bruce Hill, New Skills, New You, teaching sales skills to entrepreneurs, helping small businesses grow. Remember, one new skill will change your life. Thank you so much for tapping in. Until next time. Peace.